Thank you very much for your patience. And now we are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. Should you find it difficult to join us on Zoom, you can just go live on YouTube to continue to watch this episode. And one beautiful thing about this is also that later during the week, next year, next 10 years, as far as YouTube is still online and there's no new policy to take away old videos, these videos will still be there as reference purpose. So today, once again, we are having another wonderful enlightenment series, series 90, which means that we have been able to document, because we have actually done more than 90, but the ones that we're able to document and have evidence for. There's a common saying that if it's not documented, it's not done. If there's no evidence, that is not done. So what we have documented that is live, all this series that is live on YouTube, it is all nine. This is the 90th one. This is the 90th series. This is the 90th Zoom session enlightenment series statement to Allah that we've had so far. And we are glad that we've been able to go this far with us in our journey. So many of us have been with us right from day one, and we are still here to till date to continue to learn, to continue to build our community together. And thank you once again for joining us. And today our wonderful speaker is already with us. He's already live on board. He's already here with us. And I would like to introduce him. He is Engineer Jamal Raihan. Jamal Raihan, a registered engineer with a background in electrical engineering, who currently serves as a project engineer and a safety professional. So it is two in one. A project engineer and a safety professional with extensive experience in managing gas pipelines and spur lines construction projects. He has developed strong expertise in project management, safety leadership, and engineering supervision, ensuring compliance with industrial standards and best practices, and presently pursuing an MBA at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to further strengthen his leadership, strategic management, and business acumen in the energy and engineering sector. And it's in my utmost humility that I'm going to introduce on board no other person but Mr. Engineer Raihan Jamal. Thank you so much for joining. Please, it is now your turn. You can take over from here. Thank you and God bless you. Please, Engineer Raihan, confirm that you can hear me and you have taken over the session. We can't hear you, Engineer Raihan. Please kindly say something while you are displaying your project, your slides. Let us hear you. I can't hear you from here.
All right. Thank you very much, Oga Mr. Ali. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Definitely, we can see your screen. Please, you can fire on.
Awesome. Just a minute. All right. All praise be to Almighty God, the first without a beginning and the last without an end. How many of his favors can we count? Having saluted the Almighty, I want to thank Mr. Wali especially for having me on this session. I also want to thank every one of us for joining, for taking time to join out of our busy schedule. My sustainable people, the governor of sustainable people, Mr. Habib Salahuddin, I greet you, sir. So today we are going to discuss a very important topic that has to do with project management, how safety plays a very key role in project management, because safety can actually make or break a project. Most times when we talk about project management, we talk about costs, we talk about timelines, the three vectors: costs, timeline, and scope. And then we neglect the critical aspects of the project, which is safety. As we can see as we saw last week, what ensured between the Minister of Works, Engineer Dave Umahi, and Rufai Hussaini, asking for the cost per kilometer. Everyone is interested in knowing the cost per kilometer of our Lagos Calabar highway. And of course, I quite, from the engineers, from the minister's point of view, because you cannot just ask him for cost per kilometer, right? Imagine constructing a road of 5 kilometers, and then in that road construction, you have maybe bush clearing, you have people on the right of way that you have to evacuate. So while evacuating them, you have to maybe compensate them. So all of these are what makes up the cost elements, right? So all of these are what you would make up your cost for the total 5 kilometers, an example. So when someone is asking for cost per kilometer, wanting you to divide the lump sum costs into 5 to give a cost per kilometer would not really make sense. I think what you should have asked was the cost breakdown, right? So that we can have accountability. But he was so demanding for cost per kilometer, even though the minister actually later gave the cost per kilometer for 7.5 billion naira per kilometer. And he argued that this included filling, shore protection, solar lightning, planting of trees. But this is not to defend, this is not for or against the minister. Because when you look at the whole lump sum, the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway is divided into sections, right? So the first sections was given to High Tech Limited, which is from Amadou Bello Way in VI to around Eleko Village. That's about 47 kilometers, and that's for a cost of about 1 trillion naira, right? So when you take a look at this, everyone is interested in knowing the cost. Everyone is interested in knowing the cost. And that is why, as HSC professionals, part of the 3 reasons why we practice HSC are the legal reasons, the moral reasons, and the financial reasons, right? So we need to speak to management in the language that they understand, right? So management want to hear what's the financials. So when we make them understand the implication of safety, right? Safety can damage a project success, as we would see in the course of this presentation. So tighten your seat belts as we are about to take off from Kodak Safety International Airport, together with my co-pilot, Captain Waliullah. As you can see, my co-pilot beside me. So we'll be starting this session with a brain teaser, right? And then we have a word there. Please, this brain teaser is exclusive of sustainable people. Sustainable people are not permitted to partake in this brain teaser. So I want someone to produce this word for us. This word on the screen. Can someone pronounce this word? Someone should please unmute and pronounce this word.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can I go for it?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so it's triskaidekaphobia.
You said?
Triskaidekaphobia.
Okay. Anyone else that wants to try? Who
Good
is
evening,
going?
everyone. Good evening, sir.
Yes, go on.
Yeah, triskaidekaphobia.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So that's the word, triskaidekaphobia. So what's the meaning? Who can tell us the meaning of the word? You have hints there. You have phobia, you have trees. So from there you should be able to get some hints. You have trees, you have phobia. I've given you some hints. Yes, who is going to try? Yes, anybody?
Hello, good
Yes.
evening, everyone. Can I put a try?
Yes, yes.
From my understanding, I think it should be the fear of extreme superstitions about
Oh,
number 13. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Who wants to try again? Awesome. Who wants to try again? Okay. So yes, my brother is actually correct. It's actually the fear of the number 13, 13. And it's actually emanated from the story of the Last Supper. Some of our brothers that are Christians here, we know the story of the Last Supper, how Jesus was crucified, but before the crucifixion, he had his Last Supper, and then he was with 13 of his disciples, together with Judas Iscariot that betrayed him, and then they had supper. So 13 of them sat down on the table and had the Last Supper. So after which he was betrayed and then he was crucified. So people developed. It's not common in this part of the world, but in most some parts of the world, like U.S., Canada, some countries in Europe, we have people that have developed phobia or superstition for this number. They see it as evil. They see it as some kind of superstition, so to say. So you see some skyscrapers, some you go to some hotels, you see that the elevators, the number 13 there is missing. Or you go to some flights, some hotels, it is reported that some flights like Lufthansa airline, even though not all of their airlines, some of their airlines, you go there and you see there is no route 13. So all of these are attributed to the fear of the number 13, because some people have this phobia for that number. So what we'll be looking at today is beyond schedules, schedules and budgets, how safety plays a very key role in driving a project. We are going to be looking at the relationship between project management principles and safety performance. And then that would lead us to recognize safety as a key project driver. And then, of course, we'll be looking at real-life case studies where safety has impacted on project outcomes. We'll look at either positive outcomes or negative outcomes. And then we'll see the integration of health and safety management systems into project planning and execution. And a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Abanom took us on safety 1 to safety 2. We would look at shifting our mindsets from safety 1 to safety 2 in project management. So these are some of the things we would be looking at in the course of this presentation. So how many of us watched the 2022 FIFA World Cup? How many of us watched the World Cup? How many of us watched the World Cup? So we all the World Cup was hosted by Qatar in 2022, and it was actually awarded to Qatar in 2010, and then Qatar had to start from the scratch. They had to start building stadiums, building infrastructures to meet up with the challenging demand of hosting a World Cup. And then in that regard, they were able to construct, they were able to deliver 8 World Cup stadiums across 55-kilometer radius of Doha. That's a massive and they spent about $200 to $220 billion, covering all the stadiums and other infrastructures. So in the course of these activities, over 30,000 workers were employed across the continent. Workers from Nepal, workers from Bangladesh, workers from Philippines, workers all over the world to execute this project. So what was supposed to be a national success, right, turned out to face many criticism. Why? Because people lost their lives in the course of the construction. right? It was reported that about 400 to 500 migrant workers died during the course of this construction of the World Cup infrastructure. And even though Qatar authorities came out to deny, and they said most of these deaths were not work related, but they faced serious criticism and backlash from international communities, human rights communities, as to the loss of lives in the World Cup. So this is to tell you that no matter how successful a project might look like, no matter how it might seem to be successful, if people are going to lose their life, if it is going to cause harm to people, no matter the profits you make, no matter the timeline, no matter the delivery timeline, no matter the quality, the project is not a successful project. So human lives are important, and that is why we have to take safety very, very seriously. So that takes us to project management. So before I move on, what do we understand by projects? Can someone unmute to tell us what a project is? Can someone unmute to tell us what a project is? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, go on.
Yes.
I can hear you. Yes, go on, we can hear you. Hello?
I think we lost him, so we lost the connection. So any other person, please let us respond. Let us make this as
Can you hear
interactive
me
as
now?
possible. Yes, Mr.
Yes, I can hear you.
Please kindly go ahead.
Oh,
We can
okay.
hear you.
Okay. A project is that temporary endeavor that is being carried out, targeted to either achieve a unique result, service, process, or new product at the end of the day.
Awesome. That's a very good definition, very much on point. So according to PMBOK, that's the project management body of knowledge. A project is a temporary endeavor. Keynote there is temporary. So it's a temporary endeavor that is undertaken to create a unique product or service, right? So take, for example, the AKK gas pipeline project that is ongoing, which is part of the Trans-Niger gas pipeline, which is running for 614 kilometers. It's going to be spanning from Ajaokuta through the federal capital, through Niger states, and then finally terminating in Kano. And then it's also part of the large network from Nigeria to the Europe. So the project would also constitute associated valve stations, terminal gas stations, spur lines to offtake points, and so that's the scope of the work. And it has an estimated sum of about $2.8 billion. It was approved in 2017, and according to reports, it's presently in its 70% completion. So the project was divided into two segments. A part of the segment, that is segment 1, was awarded to Oilserve Limited, and the second segment was awarded to Braintex. So that's the definition of a project. You have it's a temporary endeavor that has a start and end date. And of course, you have the triple constraints. You have the scope, you have the cost, and then you have the time. Another example of projects is the Dangote refinery, right, which is located at the Lekki Free Trade Zone. It's worth over 18 to $20 billion, and it is expected to produce about 650,000 barrels per day, which of course is the largest single train refinery in the world. It is going to produce products like gasoline, which is the petrol we know of, diesel, jet fuel, which is the ATK, the aviation turbine kerosene, and of course the LPG. So the construction started at by I think 2016, yes, 2016, and then spanned through 2023
It's
when
referred
it was,
to SIGTN. That's one valve.
when it was commissioned by the late President Muhammadu Buhari in 2023. So that's about period of 7 years from construction to completion. So in the course of this project execution now, imagine safety principles were not applied. What do you think would have happened to the project? So in the course of that, the refinery construction, world-class HSE management systems were adopted. In fact, safety was embedded from design to commissioning. It was top-notch. And then it met not only the cost, but also the delivery timeline. So that's it on the triple constraints, where we have the cost, we have the time, and then we have the scope. So according to PMBOK, we have what we call project management process groups. And of course, they are 5 interrelated process groups, which include initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and then the closure. So relating to health and safety, in the initiation phase, it is where we identify our legal and statutory requirements. We conduct our preliminary risk assessments. We also define our HSE goals. What goals do we want to achieve in the project? HSE Goal 0. This is where we do all of that in the initiation phase. In the planning phase, this is where we develop our health and safety management plan. If it's going to involve engineering design, we do our hazard, and then we develop emergency response plan, we establish KPIs and the likes. In the execution, we conduct what we call, that's where we implement what we have done in our HSE plan. We implement it, all our health and safety management system, our permit to work system. We conduct job hazard analysis. We monitor and track performance. All of this is done at the execution stage. Then we have monitoring and control, where we do our routine safety audits, our inspections, we review safety meetings, we do safety review meetings. All of this is done in monitoring and control. Then finally, the project closeout, where we do our closeout reports and then post-project HSE reviews. So in project management, according to the project management body of knowledge, PMBOK again, we have what we call the 10 key knowledge areas, right? We have the integration management. In the integration management is where we ensure that all parts of the project work together seamlessly, right? All parts of the project, including the scope, the schedule, the costs, all parts of the project, we ensure that they work together seamlessly. Then we have scope management, where we establish a clear definition of what is and what isn't part of our job delivery, so that there would not be any conflict between the clients and the contractor. We establish a clear definition of what exact job we are required to do. And then we have the schedule management. This is where we develop a realistic project timeline and ensure that our work is completed on schedule. We have cost management, we have resource management, and then we have also communications management, right? Communications management is where we ensure that we have accurate and timely communication across all stakeholders. This is very important. In fact, I had to learn this the hard way. I have a very personal experience with regards this communication management. It was actually a site, a pipeline construction work. And then it was in my earlier days as a safety officer. So, and we were working as a third-party contractor. As a third party, we had our clients, And then our clients also had their own clients, right? So as the site project HSE officer, I was always at site with my client's HSE rep. So we're at site together, and then his own client, that's the main client for the job. That's the project management team. The safety rep from the project management team comes to the site once in a while because there are different segments of the pipeline construction. So he might be here he might be here in the morning, go to another location, so he has several locations to visit. So whenever he comes to our project site, he does a walk around, and then at the end of the day, he asks my clients for reports. So there are some days that maybe my client is not responding, then he would come to me directly and say, Jamal, please send me today's report. Sometimes he would call me on phone and ask me for reports. So I would send him reports, and most especially when it's not officially or it's not via email. So I do send him most times via WhatsApp. I will just forward him the reports. So I've done that. So then for this particular day, my clients, my direct clients came to me that we needed to conduct a site drill. So, and I said, okay, drill is fine. In fact, it's part of our HSE management plan. So we planned for a drill, and then we had done fire drill. So we decided to do security drill. So because we were facing some security challenge because it was in the thick forest. So we decided to plan a security drill, and it was very, very successful, because we planned it together with the security team. And then we used to have a portal cabin toilet. So most of the workers don't normally use that toilet. They prefer going to the bush. So we planned it in such a way that one of the welders will go into the bush, two of them would go into the bush, and then one of them would come out shouting on top of his voices that the other welder has been kidnapped. And that was how it happened. Two of them went into the bush, and then the other one came outside shouting on top of his voices, wailing that they have kidnapped HRO, they have shouting. In fact, it looked very real. Welders were throwing their tongues away, grinders were flinging grinding machine. Some people were hiding inside pipes, some people were running into the bush, and then our security operatives too were very proactive. They began to blow the siren. Some of them went into the bush, chased after the kidnappers. Another fired the warning shots. It was very real. So at the end of the day, we had a debriefing by the security personnel, and they were able to brief us. So it was a very, very successful drill. But that was not the point. So my clients, the safety rep from the project management team, called me that day for reports. So, and I was like, why didn't you ask your contractor? He said he's not responding. So I forwarded him the report, and then he saw from the report that we did drill. Of course, he's in the copy that we're going to do drill. And then after I think the following morning, he requested for the drill reports. So I forwarded him the drill reports, and then eager to submit reports, the guy sent the report to his management, and then his boss saw the report and was like, when did this drill happen? Who was carried along? Who was informed? Apparently our main client did not communicate clearly to their contractors that this was going to happen, and then they flagged the issue. In fact, it was a very, very serious one that our clients, our direct clients, had to issue us a very strong mail, to the extent they were looking at it as a breach of contract, right? It took my boss, in fact, my boss had to step in for me, and they called us in for a meeting. And then because of the very strong man he is, that the case was swept under the carpet. So this is just a case of how communications management is very important. In fact, it was that day I knew how it is very, very important, how you manage communications, be it at sites or in workplace. You should know what you are going to report and to whom you are going to report information to. So we also have risk management, procurement management, stakeholder management. Stakeholder management is how you build and maintain stakeholder support throughout the project lifecycle. And of course, you have different stakeholders. You have internal stakeholders and you have external stakeholders. So that is that about project management. Let's take a look at a typical offshore platform construction where we have simultaneous operations going on. We have lifting and rigging. Of course, we know the distinct between lifting and rigging. Who can tell us the difference between lifting and rigging? Can someone unmute to tell us the difference between lifting and rigging? Yes. Can someone unmute to tell us the difference between lifting and rigging?
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, my name is Joseph. I think rigging is part of lifting. We are talking about the difference between lifting and rigging. Rigging means while we are trying to carry out lifting, the act of ensure that all the necessary gears which we use during lifting to ensure that the load to be lifted, they use the accurate lifting gears, all the required slings, shackles, and all that. While the lifting is actually the actual operation itself, while the activity is going on, ensure that they move it from one point to the other. I think that's how I understand.
Awesome, awesome. That's a very, very correct definition. Very much on point. So we have lifting and rigging operations going on. We have welding operations. We have welding operations. We have work at height. We have confined space entry. So all of this is happening simultaneously in the offshore platform construction. So how do you manage safety in this kind of situation, knowing fully well that you know, absence of safety can disrupt your project? So in this kind of situation, for this particular scenario, we have different phases, right? We have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 has to do with engineering and design. And doing the engineering and design, you have the process safety studies, where you have HAZOP. In fact, it is very, very important. There was a particular company, they produce aerosol. So they had been out of operations for over a year, and then they needed to revamp that tank farm. So they had several tanks in the tank farm, and then they needed us to carry out tests on the tanks. You know, if it passes, then we upgrade the pipings. But the first thing we did, because it was a multinational, they had several branches across Europe and Asia. So the team there, you know, together with our own team, the first thing we did was to conduct a HAZOP studies. And then it was that HAZOP studies that led to the design that we used in the construction. So it was a very, very seamless process, because it reduces the chances of redesign. After the HAZOP, it was the results of the HAZOP that produced the design, and then the construction was seamless. We didn't have to cost of rework, and then it saved us a lot of stress. So HAZOP studies is very important, and it helps to analyze the process deviation, how the process deviates for maybe high pressure, low flow, wrong temperature, right? Which can lead to unsafe conditions during detailed design. So another thing we do, or for this particular case studies, was the quantitative risk assessment, which is to determine the risk that people are exposed to, the risk to people, environments, to ensure that it is within acceptable limits. Another process safety studies is the safety integrity level, that's the SIL, which is done to ensure that safety systems like the emergency shutdowns, the fire gas systems, they perform reliably when needed, because you do not want a system where you install emergency shutdowns, and then when it is needed, or you install maybe a fire alarm, or maybe gas system, and then when it is needed, it is not able to function. So that is what the safety instrumented safety integrity level is. Then another one is SIL, which is the safety instrumented system. It's carried out during instrumentation and control, often most times after or as a result of the layer of protection. After layer of protection, then we do the SIL, and it's mostly expressed in levels. We have SIL level 1, SIL level 2 to SIL level 4. It's in levels. And then we have layer of protection. So all these are done to ensure a seamless design, to ensure that we tick all the boxes during the design phase, such that we don't encounter any problem either during construction or during commissioning, or even after post-commissioning. So it reduces the risk of design and also rework. So in the construction phase, this is after you have done the design, and then you are implementing your design, where you manage health and safety execution plan, your permit to work systems, your simultaneous operations, your emergency preparedness, your task risk assessments, health and safety statistics. So all of this is being done in the construction and fabrication phase to manage health and safety, to ensure that nothing goes wrong at site, to ensure that your target, your goal zero, your zero LTI is achieved, to ensure that there are no schedule disruption. And then, of course, if you have all of this, it will definitely increase the morale of your workers, and of course, include your productivity. And if you have a seamless construction, during commissioning also, you must take into cognizance safety, your safety commissioning plan, your pre-commissioning safety review. All of these must be taken, as well as your lockout tagout during commissioning. So all of these done together would achieve a seamless goal zero target, and then ensure that your project is completed safely. So if you do all of this, this is a typical project performance summary, right? The project duration was meant to be 13 months, and then you ended up spending 32 months, right? The budget was 1.2 billion, and then ended up spending 1.1 billion. LTI, the target was 0, and actual LTI was 0. Rework for the work was 3%, and then actual 1.5% was achieved. And then at the end of the day, all stakeholders are happy, customer is happy, your workers are happy, everybody is happy. The target 90% customer satisfaction was actually 97%. So all of this was achieved because safety was effectively managed, because there wasn't incident, there wasn't accident that may lead to delay or cost. Now, there are instances where safety incidents might lead to delays. Typical example is when you have maybe a major incident in the site, and then the client is asking you to observe a safety stand down, right? Client is asking you to observe a safety stand down. you are going to pay for the cost of equipment, all the equipment you have on site. You pay if you are using welding machines and your cost is per day. You have welders on site, you have riggers. If you calculate all the overhead costs, per day you are running into millions. You have feeding, you have accommodation. So you are spending millions of naira per day. And at the end of the day, you are not able to produce a single joint because of the stand down you are observing. So that is actually a loss. You have incurred costs, and then it has affected on the project timeline. So the fact of the matter is that project success, is not achieved in spite of safety. Rather, it was achieved because of safety, right? It is because you manage the project properly that you are even having a cause to celebrate the successful delivery of a project. When you embed safety in the full project life cycle, it drives quality, it drives schedule, it drives cost, and above all, everybody is happy, right? Your customer is fully, your stakeholder, your client is fully satisfied, and then you have a stakeholder confidence. So we are going to be taking another brain teaser. This has to do with the So this has to do with accident causation models. Of course, we know accident causation models, the Swiss cheese model, the domino theory model, which states that accidents are results of sequence of events. If you want to prevent an accident, what you do is to remove just one domino, and then you stop the chain of reaction. So we have series of dominoes here. We have safety dominoes in the design phase, in the construction phase, in the commissioning phase, in the operations phase, and then in the maintenance phase. So the question here is, if you are allowed to remove just one domino to prevent an accident, or you save the entire project chain from collapsing, which of the dominoes would you remove? Can someone unmute to answer this?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon. Got you,
Okay, so
Neme.
if I get the question correctly, you're saying which of the dominoes would I remove to prevent an incident? That's
Yes, or
between
to save
design through to maintenance stage, right?
yes, to save the whole project chain.
All right, so I'll do design. I'll do design. There is something called safety by design, so I'll leave it at that. So design. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Anybody else? So that's actually very correct. Thank you, Chineme. So when you are able to prevent, like you rightly said, safety through the design, like we explained the process safety. There's what we call inherent safety design, ISD. Right? This is when you design systems that are going to prevent hazard right from the design phase rather than controlling them with adds-on system, right? It is not after construction, maybe doing operations, and then you start to prevent hazard. So you treat them right from the design phase. So design is actually correct. So we are going to look at a case study. Unfortunately, I am not able to upload the video on this presentation because of I wasn't using my laptop, but let me share it from my desktop. Let me see if I can share from my desktop. This is one of the world's largest crane rings. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Awesome, awesome. A load of over 400 tons. Although the crane is normally well capable of lifting such a load, poor management and supervision of the crane's operation is about to result in a fatal accident. A safety inspector on the ground films as the consequences for reckless behavior come to fruition. What's going on here? Watch it. Miller Park, now known as American Family Field, is a baseball stadium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA. As one of the largest construction projects in Wisconsin history, the stadium features North America's only fan-shaped convertible roof, which can open and close in less than 10 minutes. It was called Miller Park as part of a $40 million naming rights deal with the Miller Brewing Company. This deal expired in 2020, and the stadium has since been known as American Family Field. From the time construction began in 1996, though, it was called Miller Park. This period is of particular interest because of the fatalities that occurred during construction, specifically the construction of its uniquely retractable roof. Miller Park was initially slated to open prior to the baseball season in the year 2000. By 1999, contractors were feeling pressured got finished as there were payment penalties for missing deadlines. A retractable roof was one of the last large components to be installed, with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries responsible for its construction. To aid in this, the massive Lamson LTL 1500 Transilift crawler crane was utilized at 567 feet. The crane was one of the largest in the world, affectionately nicknamed Big Blue. Big Blue would lift 30 separate sections of the roof to the top of the stadium, each weighing about 450 tons. By July, 9 out of 30 of these sections had been lifted successfully. 10th lift was to be performed just after 5 p.m. on July 14, 1999. But this lift would face difficulties the other 9 did not. Wind speeds that day were between 20 and 21 miles per hour, with some gusts reaching up to 27 miles per hour. Some workers expressed concern over the crane's operation in these conditions, but management, eager to get the project finished on time, dismissed these concerns. After all, they had been monitoring the wind speeds and their effects on the crane's boom, which was rated for 20 miles per hour. The wind might slightly exceed the crane's rating every now and then, but it didn't seem to pose any threat to the crane. What they neglected to take into consideration, however, was the load the crane was lifting. The crane may have been able to withstand the wind, but they never calculated the effect the wind would have on the crane when it was actually lifting 9,000 square foot section of roof. Such a large structure essentially acts as a sort of sail, catching the wind and putting great strain on Big Blue, which was already bearing as much wind as it was rated for. The result? The crane collapsed. The wreckage of the crane caused massive damage to the project, but worst of all, as it fell, it crashed into another crane. This crane did not carry a hook for construction material, but rather a hoist bucket. Inside, ironworkers Jeffrey Wisher, William DeGrave, and Jerome Starr were suspended some 200 feet above the ground. They were observing and directing the lift from the bucket
when Big Blue crashed into their crane, sending the three men 200 feet to their deaths. The cause of the accident was found to be the crane's operation outside its design specifications, with failure to consider the combination of the load and wind. As a result, three firms were fined a total of $500,000. The widows of Jeffrey Wisher, William DeGrave, and Jerome Starr filed a lawsuit against Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the company responsible for constructing the roof. They were awarded $99,250,000 in damages, with the jury finding Mitsubishi 97% negligent and Lapson, the company that owned the Big Blue crane, 3% negligent. It remains the single highest verdict in the state of Wisconsin. The incident set the project back about a year, as the collapse had caused considerable damage, leading to extensive cleanup and repair. Work eventually continued with a new crane, Advanced American Mag CC 12600. When Miller Park was opened in 2001, a statue of 3 iron workers was installed to honor the men that lost their lives in its construction. 3 iron workers, 3 husbands, 3 fathers who spent their last moments witnessing an avoidable accident and bearing the direct brunt of its consequences.
Awesome. So did we watch the video? What did we deduce from the video? What did we learn from the video? Can someone unmute and tell us what we learned from the video? Can someone unmute and tell us what we learned from the video? Hello? Can someone tell us what we learned from the video? Hello, Mr. Wali, am I being heard?
We can hear you, sir.
Yeah, I said, can someone, or if you guys did not watch the video, yes, can someone unmute and tell us what we learned from the video? What is our takeaway from the video? All right, Mr. Emmanuel, go ahead. Mr. Emmanuel, we can't hear you.
Mr. Emmanuel, you're unmuted. Please, can you go ahead?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's not loud enough.
So I wanted to say that the cost of accident is very severe. Considering the magnitude of what happened, that company will almost be in a comatose state by the time they are done paying all those penalties. It's better to manage the process, manage the project. Thank you.
All right, so we all watched the video, and from the video we could see the incident that happened. Towards the last end of the video, we could see the man mentioning that the project was set back by 1 year, right? And this project was meant to be of an estimated value of 400 million USD. But due to negligence, the management was under pressure to deliver. And then, in spite of warnings by the crew members that regarding the wind condition exceeding the safe operating limits of the crane, but it turned deaf ears. And then what was the result? 3 workers were killed instantly. And then the company was fined 500,000 USD by OSHA and then they were asked to pay a compensation of a whopping sum of 99.25 million USD to the victim's family. And then the project was delayed for over a year. And not only that, they faced a serious reputational damage, which damaged their image. So you can now see what was involved due to accidents, wanting to beat timeline, wanting to reduce costs. At the end of the day, you are incurring more costs. The project is delayed for over a year, and then you are facing reputational damage. So all of these are consequences of improper safety management. So another example is how many of us remember the Lekki Garden incident that happened in 2017, where a 6-story building collapsed and then killed about 34 workers in Lekki parts of Lagos State. And then this was as a result of non-compliance of the contractor with approved drawings. You have approved drawings, but it was not complied with. Also poor supervision, and then poor supervision and lack of competent safety supervision or oversight. And then a contributing factor was also the use of substandard materials, right? And what was the consequence? The contractor suffered a huge consequence. He was arrested, the MD of the company was arrested and prosecuted, and of course, the project was suspended indefinitely. So in order to save costs, in order to speed up timeline, you end up incurring more costs, and then the project being suspended indefinitely. And there are several building collapse we witnessed in Lagos. We witnessed Rope Code building collapse at Ikoyi, Gerard Ikoyi Road in 2021, where a 21-story building collapsed and killed about 46 people. Another one happened at Yaba in 2022. And I think the most recent one was the one in Banana Island, that a 7-story building collapsed. So all these are, what is being caused when our focal point is on delivery and then cost reduction. So beyond all of this, safety is a very key project driver. And then we have talked about this earlier, how we can integrate health and safety management into project planning. Because believe me, safety plus productivity is your return in investment. Safety and productivity are not competing objectives, right? When you have a project or site engineer at site chasing his own KPI, wanting to meet targets, wanting to reduce costs, and he's seeing the safety officer as obstructing him from meeting his own targets. So safety and productivity are not competing KPI. In fact, safety is needed. Safety is needed to achieve an uninterrupted work. And then, of course, if you have that, it would improve or increase the morale of your workers and ultimately improve the efficiency. So it's important we integrate health and safety management systems into our project planning and execution. Where you have the concept of design, you introduce safety right from the design phase, you conduct your process safety studies till your construction, and finally your commissioning stage. So Mr. Abanom talked to us about safety one, shifting of mindset or perspective from safety one to safety two, how we can have a mindset shift from shifting or making blames to investigating why actually mistakes happen, right? For instance, you have an object dropping at height from a work at height platform, and then instead of you to blame the rigger, you investigate or you ask questions as to why isn't there a proper lifting plan, if there is any, Is it practical enough? Are there adequate tools? We move from lagging indicators to leading indicators, changing our set shifts from traditional safety practices to modern safety practices. Above all, like we are discussed in this session, the true measure of a project success is not how fast it is delivered, but in how safely it is achieved. We gave a scenario of the Qatar airport World Cup infrastructure. Despite the success they recorded, but because of the mass number of people that died, they got, instead of credit, they got serious backlash from human rights and also international media outlets. So safety isn't just part of the job, safety is the job. Thank you very much. We have landed safely. Thank you. God bless you. Questions, answers? Questions and contributions?
Good evening, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Omotayo Oluwaseun, I can see your hand raised. Can you kindly unmute and make your suggestion or ask your question? After you, we'll take Oluwaseun Olayinka. If
All
you can
right,
unmute, go ahead.
thank you so much for the presentation, and this is an eye-opening. Mine is just a contribution. Apart from being a safety officer, there are more knowledge areas that are actually needed. Just like the presenter have actually said, understanding a project, especially project management, is key. So in this world where we are right now, there's need for us to cross-learning and expand the scope of our learning. Be a safety officer, there are other things you need to put into it. For someone that doesn't understand communication management properly and how integrated with other processes, may not be able to deliver accurately. We think he's doing well until an incident happens. So I think we need to do more emphasis on it. If there are other courses, professional like this, we need to integrate into what we have. I think it's worthwhile, so that at the end of the day, you can have success, and that success will be a successful one. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omotayo Oluwatoyin. We had someone else raise his hand, Olayinka. I can no longer see the hand. Mr. Peter, you can go ahead right now. Mr. Peter, go ahead. Fine boy safety. Well done, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thanks to our presenter. That was a wonderful presentation. Mine is actually a contribution, really, and what I intend to say with regards to this is on the aspect of stakeholders management, since we are actually touching and putting the beam light on project management. Really. Now, oftentimes, what I discovered in projects that most safety guys do not really pay attention to, and really, is for the fact that many of us don't have the information around that, is the aspect of stakeholders management and understanding the dynamics of change that could come up within the scope of having those stakeholders. So we have, for instance, now we could have political landscape switching the relevance of those stakeholders. We could have technological changes switching the relevance of those stakeholders. and we could have probably government policies suiting the relevance of those stakeholders. Now, what do I mean? As much as I hate to use these examples, I intend to use, they are the realities that are happening in the world right now. For instance, there was a time when Shekau was the leader of Boko Haram. He was the top echelon of the dreaded Boko Haram group, but probably over time, change in governance, change in environment, a new leader came in. Now, the challenge was there should be a plan for that succession as the government is changing, because Shekau was dreaded at that point. He was top rated. Others were there, not as if they were not there. They were probably loyalists to Shekau or with not having the high ranking he has. But the attention was actually more focused on Shekau because people felt if you take out the head, others are out. But the question is, those other stakeholders also have their own sphere of influence. And by the time a new system comes in, they become robust, powerful, and all that. And I think infusing this into health and safety, especially when it comes to managing projects, is very key. So this is just my little contribution to this. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, Olayinka, Oluwaseun Olayinka, did you want to say something or you made a mistake raising your hand?
I have a question, just a
All right,
very
go
short
ahead,
question.
please.
To start with, I really appreciate the presenter for this wonderful knowledge shared so overwhelming, and I've learned a lot today. My question goes to us. Do we have particular kind of a course created maybe for safety professionals that has to do with how to manage project, that's safety management or project management for safety professionals? I just want to get an idea on that. Thank you.
I hope my Oga, the presenter, has gotten your question. I'll then take Ofomalaki before I hand over back to the presenter, to the facilitator, to attend to your question, Mr. Olayinka. Thank you. Mr. Malaki, please unmute and speak, please.
Yeah, good evening, please.
Good evening, go ahead.
Good evening, please. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. I can hear you. We can all hear you.
Okay, that's a quick one. Actually, mine is a contribution and also to raise some observation that has been going on site these days and nearly everywhere. Actually, in most projects, you see that operation want to save time, increase productivity, and all that, and of course, save cost. But safety want to ensure live equipment and productivity are also saved, and of course, this costs money. So oftentimes, is safety and operations, we are always on loggerhead in site. In most cases, in the area of downtime, saving lives, saving equipment, and ensuring and ensuring quality materials and quality experience are being implemented into the system, into the work, and to get a very good reliable output. But it's not always working because management will always tilt to the side of operation. Now, leaving safety alone, hanging on the balance. So in most cases, we find it difficult to manage issues on site, except maybe if the MD or the GM of the company is somebody who has safety background. So I will advise, let there be a system, in which safety is actually synchronized in all departments. Yes, that will help us to make things easy for the safety department. Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful program.
All right, thank you so very much, sir. Mr. Jamal, please, can you please attend to Mr. Olayinka's question before I add any contribution I had to say?
Okay, thank you very much, my Oga, Mr. Chineme. So to address the last contributor, That's a very good point, but and that was why we talked about the reasons for health and safety, right? We have three reasons we practice health and safety. We have the
Yeah.
moral, we have the financial,
Economical.
and we have the legal.
Yeah,
So
legal.
what we should do is to make people understand the why. Because, for instance, you are going to your management and you can't convince them on why you are asking them to do what you are proposing. So you need to be able to convince them. And the way you can do it is to talk financials, right? When you make them understand that if you don't do this, this is the implication. Make it monetary. Let them understand the implications and let it be financial. Speak the language you understand. I think they should be able to buy your idea, because if you think safety is expensive, as they do say, you try what? You try accident. So it's for you to be able to present your case and present it well, such that you can get management buy-in. So I hope that answers that. And then for the person that asked about project management certifications, I don't know if you have attended the QHSC Leadership Academy. Part of the courses that is being taught there is project management, right? Project management is being taught in the academy. But beyond that, we have other certifications. We have PMP, we have Prince 2, we also have other certifications, and we have a partner with who is a big partner with the academy. That's the Daily Leverage. I think the owner of the company is Mr. Ernest Shaka. So you can as well reach out to him, who is a partner with the academy. So he offers certifications in project management and he gives discounts. So you can reach out to him for project management courses. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jamal. Thank you so much. So, my little contribution to this session, first of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. Jamal, for this wonderful session. It's been very, very, very mind-blowing, and I'm very sure that a lot of professionals, like almost everybody on the call, has learned something new. And I say kudos to you for this, and thanks for taking our time to do this for us today. Thank you so much. Yeah, so my little contribution would be to every one of us. We should understand that we have to learn to speak the language of management. However we look at it. We should also stop this always putting forward death. Somebody will get injured as our only reason for wanting to do safety, because they can tell you, yes, one person dies, there are 1,001 ready to do the same job for a lesser price. Because the reality is that a lot of people need jobs, so they don't even care. That's what management will tell you. And we don't have to necessarily say it is only management that understands safety, or when the MD is a safety person that they can do safety. No, it's not the case. Many of these guys are even more knowledgeable in safety than us, but that is not the role they've taken up. They want you to be able to prove your point, right? And you have to be able to do that in facts, in monetary terms. You don't come and tell people you want to buy PPE, for instance, and you don't have the cost of the PPE. You cannot tell them a financial projection of how much is going to be saved if they use that PPE, as how much would be, as against how much would be spent if the PPE is not bought, and then people keeps getting injured, and then the company is paying money for treating people. They are also paying them for medical leave. All these things, these are the facts that they need. You have to be able to do your homework very well, and this is these are the areas they know that we are competent. When we say competence, it's not just by having a certification in safety. We have to really do the work and understand what we are doing as safety professionals. And I think this is where what I would like to add to this. Thank you so very much. I don't know if Mr. Walu is on the call. If he's not on the call, I don't know if there is anybody that still has anything to say to us. If not, then I'll need to draw the curtain here. Please, if you still have anything to share with us, please kindly kindly raise your hand. And if not, all right. Mr. Jamal, do you have any final words for us before you call it a day?
Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for joining this call. Thank you for making time out of your busy schedule. Also, special appreciation to Mr. Wali for having me on this session. Mr. Chineme, thank you. God bless you. Have a wonderful night rest.
All right. Thank you so much. Everyone can unmute and then we can exchange our goodbyes. Thank you all for joining. We hope to see you again in our next session. And please always go back to our YouTube channel at Coda Safety, and then you can get more of the things that we have there. Thank you so very much, everyone, for joining. And we would say good night to everyone. And I wish you all a safe working week. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.